Hello and welcome to What's It Worth? This webinar is on Valuation 101 for child care businesses. My name is Jenny Masal and I'm a business consultant with the ICA Group. The ICA Group is a national nonprofit organization with a mission of changing the nature of work by advancing businesses and institutions that center worker voice, grow worker wealth, and build worker power. We have a team that works in the child care industry. We work with child care business owners across the country, really focused on the business side of running a child care center. And our work comes from the understanding that many child care businesses are financially insecure and unable to pay living wages, both to the owners and to the workers. And so we offer business consulting, access to capital, succession planning, and cooperative ownership models to build a better child care industry. So this webinar is on the basics of business valuation, and it's based off of a guide on our website called What's It Worth? Understanding and Increasing the Value of Your Child Care Business. It's part one of a three-part series. So today is really a high-level overview of business valuation. Then part two is on how valuations are conducted. And part three is on factors impacting your business value. So you can find these other webinars and the resource guide on our website at icagroup.org/childcare. So why think about a valuation? When planning for retirement, you'll need to determine how much a buyer will pay to purchase your business. And that can be a really emotional process. It can be emotional to put a monetary value on this business that you've spent decades putting your time and energy and resources into. And what we see is that when emotions drive that process, it can set the stage for difficult and tense negotiations. So we think it's really helpful for business owners to build their understanding of the business valuation process. And that includes understanding how to prepare for a valuation, understanding how business value is calculated, identifying the factors impacting value, and understanding ways to increase the value of your business. A valuation is the process used to estimate the value of a business's assets or equity. A valuation will tell you the fair market value of your business and why it is that fair market value. The fair market value is defined as the price at which the business would change hands between a willing buyer and a willing seller, neither being under any compulsion to buy or to sell, and both having reasonable knowledge of relevant facts. And valuations are conducted using multiple approaches, but all of these approaches assume that an individual invests in or purchases a business to generate wealth. So a buyer will consider how much profit the business has generated historically and its ability to generate profits in the future. Valuations are most commonly used to estimate the selling price of a business. One thing to note is that the final sale price might not equal the number determined by the valuation. The valuation provides a useful benchmark to both the buyer and the seller as they negotiate that final sale price. And even if you don't have intentions of selling your business anytime soon, a valuation can provide useful information to you. So first, it can identify the gap you need to fill between today's business value and the business value you need when you exit. So if you think you need $400,000 from your business when you exit in 10 years, and a valuation says that your business is worth $300,000, that's helpful for you to think about how are you going to increase the value of your business over the next 10 years. An evaluation can also provide a useful roadmap for making business improvements and other strategic decisions. And when conducting an evaluation, you might need to work with a qualified, impartial third party to produce a detailed and objective valuation. Accountants, bankers, certified valuers, business advisors, and business brokers are all professionals who perform this service. And the scope and cost of a valuation really depends on the size of your business, the complexity of your business, and the purpose of the valuation. So before hiring a professional, we really recommend articulating why you are seeking a valuation and how you will use the valuation. We're happy to answer any questions as you think about that. So you'll need to gather certain materials to prepare for your valuation. It's not necessary to have all this information ready before you start, but you can use this list to prepare your business down the line. So first, you'll need 3 to 5 years of financial statements, documents that show the past financial performance of the business. It's ideal for these to be audited financial statements, but internal statements prepared by management also work. You'll need an up-to-date business or marketing plan. This document really shows projections for what the business can be expected to earn in the future, and that will be a really valuable document in the valuation process. You'll need any documented business operating procedures, anything that shows how the business currently operates, what skills are required to operate the business, what roles are required to operate the business. You'll need lists of any customers, vendor contracts, leases, these types of things that a buyer will really want to perform due diligence on and be able to check under the hood and make sure the valuation is accurate. You'll need to assemble your articles of incorporation and your bylaws. This legal paperwork all gets amended during the sale, and so it's helpful to know how things are structured and governed currently. And finally, you'll need a list of key managers and staff because it's helpful to understand who might be taking on a leadership role moving forward with the business. So most childcare businesses are closely held companies. This means that they're owned by just one person or a couple of people, and they're not traded on the stock market. And so valuing a closely held company is a difficult and imprecise science. There are multiple valuation methods, and each of these methods has its own strengths and weaknesses. And so it's really best to understand the range of values that can be reasonably estimated from multiple approaches. So I'm going to talk about 3 valuation methods: market-based valuations, income-based valuations, and asset-based valuations. And again, I'm just going to be giving a high-level overview of these approaches. The second webinar in this series really goes into these in more detail. So a market-based valuation seeks to determine the value of a business by analyzing the value of similar businesses. So looking at childcare centers of similar sizes or in similar geographies. And one rule of thumb is that the business value is equal to $2,000 to $3,000 per licensed child. So a center that has a licensed capacity of 100 children, if you multiply 100 by $2,000 to $3,000, you'd get an estimated business value of $200,000 to $300,000. Another rule of thumb is that the value is worth 2 to 3 times the owner's cash flow. So a center where the owner takes home $90,000 in profits each year, if you take that $90,000 and multiply it by 2 to 3 times, you get an estimated value of $180,000 to $270,000. Income-based valuations really focus on how much cash can the company produce in the future and what is the present value of that cash. So this methodology uses financial statements to analyze past performance and forecast future performance. And you use these financial statements and projections to determine the cash flows or income that a buyer can expect from the business. An asset-based valuation assumes the company's value is equal to the underlying value of the company's net assets, which is also called the book value. The book value is calculated by subtracting the total liabilities, so what the company owes, from the total assets, or what the company owns. So total assets minus total liabilities equals book value. This methodology is probably the least common in childcare because it's really used when the company owns assets of significant value or does not have an established or positive earnings history. So because all of these valuation methods really focus on your business's financial performance and your ability to be profitable, we think it's really important to focus on the business metrics that impact profitability. And so we really like the iron triangle metrics developed by Louise Stoney of Opportunities Exchange, which focus on the 3 key metrics that drive profitability at child care centers. So the first metric is full enrollment. So working towards full enrollment in every classroom every day. This is the way to maximize the revenue coming into your center, since enrollment is tuition and tuition is revenue in childcare. The second is full fee collection. So making sure you're collecting all of the money that's owed to you for operating your center. So that's everything from tuition payments, co-pays, subsidy reimbursements, USDA food reimbursements, making sure that, again, what's owed to you is coming in. And the third metric is making sure that your revenues cover your per child costs. So when you look at everything that's coming in, that needs to be covering the costs of providing care to those children. And if it's not, if what you're bringing in doesn't cover your costs, then your center is losing money. So again, these are 3 really important business metrics that impact your ability to be profitable. So some of those iron triangle metrics are out of your control. For example, if you're a center that provides care to a lot of families who receive subsidy, you don't set your tuition rates to make sure that revenue covers your costs. You accept what the state reimburses you for. So that can make it difficult to be profitable or to be in control of your business financials. Because of that, we think it's important to understand the many factors that affect your value and focus on the factors in your control and make decisions where you can to increase value. So one of those factors is your facility. So having a clean and up-to-date facility that's likely to pass building inspections, being able to ensure that a buyer would continue to have access to the facility, whether through building ownership or a long-term lease, those are all things that minimize risk for the buyer and increase value. Having a strong brand, so a reputation for quality and safety, it makes it easier for you to fill spots and increases revenue. This also increases buyer confidence in the value of your business. Third, having a transferable customer base. One fear a buyer might have is that if the customers only feel a connection to you as the owner, when you leave, they might also leave as customers. So having customers who have a connection to the center beyond their connection with you is really important, whether that's them feeling connected to the curriculum, to teachers, to other staff. Those are things that can increase buyer confidence. Similarly, having staff who are committed to the business or can keep things running when you're not there, increase buyer confidence that the business can run without you there. Also, having documented operational policies and procedures that lay out how the business can run, and again, how it could run without you as the owner, can minimize buyer risk and increase the value. Having a mix of revenue sources is also really important because it both increases your revenue and also makes your revenue less risky. So having a mix of private pay families along with subsidy, collecting co-pays from families on subsidy, having contracts with Head Start or pre-K, offering summer camps or after school. These are all things that diversify your revenue sources and make you less dependent on just one revenue source. They also potentially bring in more revenue than you would bring in on just one revenue source. And finally, having clean and up-to-date financial records, because ultimately a buyer wants to understand how your business performs financially. And if you can provide as much information as possible that can address buyer concerns, this can increase the value of your business. At ICA, we recognize that as the owner of a child care center, you've put your heart and soul into your business and providing quality care for your community. And while it can be hard, planning for your eventual exit from the business is one of the best things you can do to preserve the value of your business, ensure your legacy, and achieve the retirement goals you desire. So our exit planning team will work with you to provide a business health check and cost of care analysis, perform an enterprise valuation, provide an analysis of business value drivers and tips to maximize value, as well as a summary of paths to exit the business. And we're fortunate to have grant funding to subsidize the cost of these services in a number of states. So feel free to contact us to see if you qualify for our grant-funded succession planning services. You can reach out to Ann McSweeney, our Child Care Program Director. Thank you so much for participating in this webinar. Again, this is part 1 of a 3-part series, so please visit our website for part 2 and part 3, and have a great day. Thanks so much.